Hi, everyone. Welcome to V-COP8, hosted by Climate Healers. We are so glad to have you join us today. For the next hour, we're going to be speaking to Anne Casparsson and Ilse Supply about the power of good, reaching out with lectures, articles, chronicles, and podcasts to inspire companies and organizations to include animal rights and veganism in their CSR work, as well as their sustainability approach. Anna and Ilse, welcome, and the floor is all yours.
I first want to thank you, the organization, the Climate Healers, for having us here today.
Yes, we are really appreciating to be able to share our work with you, and very happy to be here. Thank you.
We have started a platform which is called The Art of Compassion. And we did that with the aim to inspire different stakeholders in society to more and more choose the vegan path and to be part of changing the world and create a better world. And it's simply a platform for sharing what we call the power of good. And the power of good, that can be anything, every action of compassion, big or small. And before we're going through our presentation, I would like to present ourselves. This is my wonderful friend and colleague, Anne Casparsson.
Thank you. My name is Anne Casparsson, and I'm living in Sweden, Stockholm, and I'm a mother of 2 children. I have a background working with human rights, interfaith organizations, and justice, peace. I have worked a lot in the Middle East, for instance, but more and more I realized how everything is interlinked and how the horrible animal industry is destroying so much, and how many people who are actually blind for this issue. So I decided that I want to work full time with this as a journalist, as an ethicist, and as a writer. And I feel, because I think as long as we close our eyes towards this very important issue, we will never find a sustainable peace or solutions, long-term solutions. And I think veganism has become a very important question of leadership because of this, because in itself, in its essence, it has so many keys for changing the world. And this is my colleague, my wonderful colleague, Ilse. So please.
Thank you. My name is Ilse, and I've got a more artistic background as well as a background in IT. And in 2009, about 13 years ago, I moved my family from Belgium to Sweden, and the idea was we wanted to give our children the opportunity to grow up closer to nature. And I also wanted to live my life closer to my own values. I wanted a life a more simple life, less hectic, with less stuff, with a growing awareness and a deeper compassion. And then 1 year later, in 2010, I met Anne in Stockholm on a coaching course. And although coming from completely different backgrounds and experiences in life, we almost immediately felt that we shared the same love and compassion for life as a whole, both humanity, the animals, nature, our planet. And for me, I've got this very strong belief that we are all one, that we are all connected to each other, despite our seemingly huge differences in culture and religion, in background, social status, gender. And I think in the long run, we all are longing for the same thing, which is love. And so I really want to hear other people's stories and to learn from them, to create a bigger understanding and also to share these stories. Because I'm convinced that by sharing our life stories, we are able to create a bigger understanding for and of each other. And in that way, also increasing the amount of compassion and peace on earth. But as a rather introverted person that I am, I found it really difficult to start conversations with complete strangers, with people on the street or in the supermarket. So I felt a bit frustrated, and I was really longing for a method, for a way to, an easy way to connect with my environment and to meet people and build bridges. So the idea of a podcast slowly started to grow. And for me, that actually worked because I could simply hold on to a microphone and start to interview people and have the most inspiring conversations with them. So whereas Anne is working more towards organizations and politicians, I was interviewing people more on the individual level. And those two seem to go perfectly hand in hand. So the cooperation and bridge building could start. So that's how the idea started. So I unfortunately can't show our presentation, but we will first go through our vision and mission. And then we want to show you how we want to be bridge builders and inspire different stakeholders in society to more and more choose the vegan path and to grow in compassion. We think that veganism and the animal rights have become very important questions in powerful leadership, and we want to inspire those leaders. And then in the end, I hope it works, but I want to show you our platform, the Art of Compassion, and go through that. And then we would like to answer questions that you might have for us. And yeah, we welcome all feedback.
Yes, thank you. We, our vision for our platform, the Art of Compassion, is a platform of the power of good. And our vision is a vegan world where all life on earth is seen as sacred and where compassion, justice, and equality is for all. And in this mission, we need to work hands-on, of course. We want to restore and give back to the earth and the animals what we humans have destroyed for so long. And with our works, with advocacy work as ethicists, journalists, with our podcast and with an upcoming YouTube channel, we want to inspire people because we believe that you need good stories. We need to be storytellers because that's a good way to actually change and inspire others. Because yeah, we believe, and also work with dialogue and bridge building in this work. And cooperation is very important for us. That's a core thing. We want to cooperate with different organizations, people, initiatives, and so on, to people with common interest in to create a cruelty-free world. And Leonardo da Vinci, he said already 600 years ago that there will come a day when we see the killing of animals the way we see the killing of humans. And more people are waking up to this question and to this extremely unjust system we have. And more people understand that we are not more valuable than animals. I mean, we belong to different species, of course, but that doesn't make any, we don't have any right to kill or abuse or use or take advantage of animals in the way we are doing today. Take their offspring, kill them, and so on. Animals have the same right to live on Earth as we do. And as we all know, veganism is not a trend or a diet, it's an awakening. And many people have started to talk about veganism as a quiet revolution of people's heart. And I think that's for me, very touching, because I think it's exactly what it is. It is like a blind spot in our collective consciousness that we justify this way of treating animals as commodities, clothing, food, etc., profit machines. I mean, the animal industry, both when it comes to meat and dairy and everything else, it's horrible, and we all know that. And in addition to that, to the ethical aspect, it's absolutely devastating for the climate and for the health. So there is like no benefits. And even though, despite this, the industry is subsidized with our tax money all over the world. Only in Sweden, 300 billion Swedish crowns are given each year to this industry. And not many people seems even to question this. We are so blind for this issue. We have been, we are like brainwashed. And I feel there are so many questions when we have these difficulties giving up animal products, traditions, habits, view on animals. But a deeper question must be, who do we want to be as human beings? And that's the question today, I feel, because it's time to wake up. It's time to rethink. It's time that animal gets a place where they deserve, because it's about sustainability, it's about ethics, compassion, but also about our whole future. And animal rights and veganism, they're not radical questions. I mean, it's based on common sense. It's based on facts, belief in non-violence and justice. So I think it's very important that we mainstream this issue, and that's part of our goal and our mission and vision, and we want to mainstream animal rights and veganism, of course, because in true non-violence, this has to be done. And more people are discussing the animal rights and animal justice movements as social movements of our time, and I think it is, definitely. And more people seem to feel, I can see that in social media, I can see it in different forums, that it's time to change. We cannot continue like this. It's our moral obligation to the earth and to everything. And we need to be a little bit compassionate wake-up call here. And that's what we want to be. It's time to rethink. That's what we feel. Mm.
Yeah, and with our, as ethicists and with our journalism, our podcast, and as you said, our upcoming YouTube channel, we, as you said, we want to be kind of a compassionate wake-up call and inspire the different stakeholders in society to more and more be part of this movement, and to make clear how everything is interconnected with each other. We also want to reach out to people who have not become vegan yet and kind of plant seeds for a more open, compassionate listening instead of shouting out at each other what we like or dislike, good versus wrong. So we want to continue sharing those inspiring examples from all over the world, both known and unknown vegans, because it's very important that those people are able to put light on these very difficult topics from different angles. And we need those good ambassadors, and that they can come up with facts and with knowledge and share it in a very easable, understandable way, so that everyone can be part of it and understand why it is so important.
Exactly. And as vegan, we all know that it's very easy to switch to plant-based. Once you've done it, it's very easy, but we need to, this is what we need to sort of convince people. And there are so many good examples of this, and we all know that. I mean, there are so many beautiful examples of institutions going vegan, organizations and so on. I mean, just look at this wonderful initiative. It's wonderful. So this is what we want to work with. I mean, for instance, how the Guardian, the British newspaper, just a month ago wrote about the Netherlands that recently decided to radically reduce livestock numbers, which is a great news, and we have, so like last week, the municipality in Oslo, in Norway, decided to everything on their public event will be vegetarian. I mean, not vegan, unfortunately, but this is the first step. We can see this all the time, and how the big fashion event last year in New York, the Met Gala, served 100% vegan food. There are so many examples of this. It's going in the right direction, and there are so many examples of individuals who are so inspiring, like ranchers going vegan, inspiring others, former gang members going into animal rights activism and non-violence, former people who used to work in the dairy industry, who today speak up against the cruelty in the dairy industry, amazing people starting sanctuaries. The list can go so on and on and on, like royalties going vegan, celebrities speaking up. So we have so many good examples, and we believe that a lot of the change has to come from the grassroots, and we have to create like a critical mass that needs to stand up for the truth. And we need to be more and more to work. And I believe that good examples are very important. Like, if he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. And so on. And so it is time for this, but still, when we come to, for instance, leadership and corporations and so on, we can see many see this as very controversial, like we know. And like I mentioned, we want to mainstream this issue together with others. There are very good initiatives coming, and more is coming. And we need to highlight this on the bigger agenda. The vegan food has exploded on the market. And of course, companies see the profitable side of this, but very few seem to actually include the animal rights and the animal ethics in their CSR work, their corporate social responsibility work. And we want to go beyond the whitewash or the greenwash of the issue. So animal rights and animal justice is still in the radical corner. And this is something we would love to work towards a change with others. And we can see there are stakeholders that are opening more and more to this. And we have met companies that are open to more be open with the animal justice issue. And we will have more and more conversations there and reach out. And we can see today that exclusive restaurants and exclusive hotels are going vegan, and exclusive brands are ditching animal products. But as I said, we need to go beyond just the surface, because the art of compassion, our platform, we want to work and inspire in this new path of true nonviolence. So we don't just want to do it for the shallow part. It needs to be nonviolence, and then animal ethics and animal justice is so important. We have also been reaching out to politicians a bit last year, and this year it's an election in Sweden. So we will go out more and cooperate with an umbrella organization and work towards reaching both voters and politicians in this regard. Our experience is that politicians are afraid of being very clear with this. I mean, it's a very, very sensitive area. They are afraid of losing voters. They're afraid of the industry, I think. I mean, it is a very sensitive question, but we will continue pushing the agenda and work together with other people. It's all the time about cooperation. So we believe that. And we also would like to inspire schools, and because that's a very important area, I think, and we want to inspire and educate in this new way of thinking, plant-based. And we have organizations in Sweden that actually are highlighting this more and more, and we would like to cooperate with them. And it's wonderful. And we also have been asked for schools who want to switch to plant-based, that we will sort of write about them and inspire others, and others can follow. So we are in this kind of loop, which is really wonderful. We would like to show you our website. And see if we can share it. Otherwise, can you see it? Yes?
Yes, we do see it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Art of Compassion is a platform that more and more are going into a PR agency for vegan initiatives, you can say. We are working very much with this highlighting and advocacy work. We also do articles about different topics, of course, peace, ethics, justice, and sustainability. And we are highlighting compassionate steps, that we call it, and which will lead to a book as well. And more will come. We are all the time interviewing more and more people, but there are many beautiful examples of compassionate people that from all over the world that are going in the front line in different aspects. And we are also planning a upcoming YouTube channel, like I said before.
Yeah, and this is our podcast called The Link, and the intention there is that people can share their inspiring life stories that encourage other people to take more and more compassionate steps. And it can cover all kinds of topics. It's about love, it's about nature and how it can heal us, veganism, compassionate leadership. So everything what goes under the umbrella compassion. It has been in mostly in Swedish, but we will continue only in English now to be able to reach out more.
So that is our presentation so far, and what we love to do is to contribute to the vegan society. I mean, all over the world. We want to be like tools for people to reach out. We want to work with our communication skills to help others. I mean, we want to be, you know, in this kind of positive energy of reaching out and be to work together. So please, we open up the floor for questions, comments, or thoughts.
I don't see any questions on Facebook or in the chat. I did have a comment though. Oh, BJ has a question. Go ahead.
I missed how long you have been doing this, because I noticed your enthusiasm about how much things have been improving. Yes.
We are quite new in this field. I mean, I have been writing about the issue for maybe 5 years, but this platform we started last year, so it's quite new.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic that you're going so great on it. Have you had any difficulties with anybody saying, no, don't do this, or let's start? I mean, you mentioned some places like Oslo is vegetarian. Is there a lot of, do you get feedback, well, let's try vegetarian?
Of course, there are different groups. And I mean, there are people who are very afraid and feels, yeah, of course there are different groups, and of course we have met that as well. But I feel in general, I must say, many people are on an intellectual level, they can say, I know it's right to be vegan, but and this is something we want to work more with, you know, like debating, because it's very hard to say that veganism is wrong today when we know about the climate change, we know about what's going on. I mean, we know about the health issues. So we are trying to not take no for an answer, so to speak. We want to just keep up our positive spirit and just keep on moving. And of course, we will meet people that are even hateful, of course. I mean, there are always all kinds of people out there, but we want to continue anyway and have a good energy in this, try to have a good energy in this and cooperate with people and feel, because we want to create this momentum, and I think the time is now. And I feel that, I can see that with so many people. And I think we just need to continue going, continue walking. That's my feeling.
I've also noticed that a lot of people are curious, those who have not become vegans yet, that they're curious first in how do I become a vegetarian? Veganism, most of the people think it's a bit more difficult. And then you have people that think that it doesn't happen here in Sweden, animal abuse, that it's, oh yeah, but that is, I only buy Swedish meats. And that is a discussion that is still difficult, because people are closing their eyes and think I'm doing the right thing. And I can see that, you know, it has been so for me as well many years ago, that you don't think bigger. And this is something that needs to go step by step. And that is why we want to open up for a compassionate dialogue and not, you're wrong. And I think a lot of people need more inspiration. How can I do this step? And that is why we want to come out with this more.
Exactly.
I do see a question in the chat. Do you cooperate or have contact with Greta? With Greta Thunberg?
We are not yet, but that's actually something we would like to do. Start with an interview with her because she's so inspiring and outspoken. And I don't know about cooperation. I mean, she's a very busy girl, and I mean, she's involved in many things. But absolutely an interview and also like discussions. I mean, we are living in the same city. Yes.
And that kind of ties into the question I was going to ask, which is, I know in a lot of countries, like the younger generation is sort of driving the vegan change. Are you seeing that where you are as well, where it's the youth that are, really sort of bringing the need for us to transition to a plant-based diet for our climate? Because I know just statistic wise, if you look at the percentages of people who identify as vegan, the under 20 is a very large portion of the percentage overall.
Yes. Exactly. It's the same here. But I also think that more and more like their parents, because they're convincing their parents, and I've heard so many stories, that it started with the kids, maybe 15 years old, and then they convince their parents, and then suddenly they convince the family. And so, I mean, there is a movement, and I feel that, I can see that, I feel it. I'm sure you all feel it, but in different ways. But I mean, it's like you can see it in so many ways, like social media. I feel it's a trend, really. I can feel it.
And I can speak for myself as well. I got inspired by my daughter, who was 9 years old, and all of a sudden didn't want to eat meat anymore. And so I was okay. And so I didn't. We didn't eat meat, the whole family, and that was a great inspiration. She just decided one day to another to do that, and we followed her, and it's going perfect. So it's not that easy, not that difficult, I mean, to actually do the change. Inspiration is so important.
And I think with veganism, I think it's what I think is more and more people that I meet and talk to is more and more aware of the dairy industry, because vegetarians are very common, very, very common. But more and more people are aware of the dairy industry. And when I have been out doing outreach, for instance, many people, with organizations, many people say that, well, now I know that how the calves are being treated. Now I know, and I mean, I can really see a shift there. Just since a few years ago, I can see a shift when it comes to the dairy industry, which I think is very positive.
Yeah, my son's been vegan for over 7 years. He's 21 now. So although we were the ones that went vegan first, he didn't even question it, really. I mean, it was kind of this, he ate meat just because, but then when he just got it, it wasn't a hard decision for him.
No.
And we were always asking him as he went through high school and now through university, how people react to that. And like, it's nothing, like, that age is just like, you're vegan, it's normal, it's although it's not normal and that it's not the majority, to hear that word is normal, and to everyone knows someone that's vegan, right? So the fear that I think a lot of maybe younger people might feel of being mocked or whatever, like, it's not there. My daughter is vegetarian, almost vegan, and she was in university, and like they used to have vegan meals that the students made every Thursday. You get a vegan meal for like $1, right? And she said half the university students were vegan, right? So it's, that, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a lot easier for them, I think, probably from some of the people who are a little older and a little more set in their ways.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you still have a presentation to, or should we turn off the screenshot, the presentation mostly?
Yeah.
Great. BJ, you have a question.
Pardon?
Oh, well, this was another thought or question about groups that we share in on social media. Some of them that are like my little closed group that is more my little hometown at first, and it's a barbecue, traditional barbecue town. I've started, at first when I posted there, they didn't want anything there that had to do with veganism. And recently I was able to say, well, just as an announcement for any vegans that happen to be there or those that love animals, and I had to phrase it so that it wasn't, those that love animals and are vegan, or if you love someone who's vegan and are just curious. And I got a lot of loves and likes on that, and I've never had that before. I did have one person say she felt that was not the way for me to phrase it because those who love animals, kind of made her uncomfortable. And so I wonder if you're about social media, how you're doing that.
How we are reaching out with social media, you mean?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Actually, what we are doing so far is mainly to share stories, to share inspiring people, that's what we have been working with so far. Share inspiring people in different ages who are taking steps that can inspire others. It can be famous people, it can be just anyone who has like a fascinating story, old people, young people, kids, families, vegan families. This is how we have been working so far, sharing stories.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe storytelling is I don't know what's your experience. It would be interesting to hear your experience, your overall experience in this field about storytelling. What do you think about it? Is your experience, do you believe in storytelling, or do you believe in other ways are more effective?
I personally believe storytelling is huge. I know, coming, like being a vegan activist for over 7 years now, just going on the show, and everything has its efficacy, right? But being the people willing to engage in conversation when you're like out on the street holding a sign versus like showing up at like a climate event, a movie screening and bringing some vegan food and having that conversation, telling them your story. Like people are much more open and receptive, but because it's kind of on a more sort of neutral, less threatening playing field where it's not this, worry about judgment or anything like that. And so, I find the dialogue is much more effective that, when you're telling your story. And especially for me as a mother and raising, a vegan children, that helps as well, because we know that the percentage of people who identify as vegan are largely women identified, so for me, that's what I've taken, like as a mother, is like how you can sort of like lead your family into veganism, in a way that's healthy and,
exactly. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Rebecca.
Okay, I have another comment on stories. Stories are so important because when I first became a vegan and when I met other people, what did I want to hear? I wanted to hear their story of what connections they made that helped them become vegan. That was the first thing we did when we went to activist meetings. Well, how did you become? When did you become vegan? It's the story of how they got it there. So, yeah, I believe in stories, and at first I had to think about it. I still do have to think about, well, what is my story now? What is my story that I can tell, and not just tell them don't do this, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Donna has a question. Donna, please go ahead.
It's not a question as much as a comment. We were talking about how younger people latch onto this much better. I'm an older person. And I just wanted to share that I was looking at some of the retirement communities my friends have moved to, and I would love to move into there, but the food options that they have are not vegan. There is no vegan option. And they always have one, oh, we have a vegetarian meal at each meal, and not vegetarian option, and it's something like spaghetti noodles with tomato paste on it. I mean, it's like, anyway, just wanted to share that those of us who are older
Yes. Yeah.
are struggling to find companions.
Yeah, that's very sad. Hopefully it will change soon.
Well, I will just say again, not again, but I will address that because there is a woman named Allison Hamji, and she's here at this Convergence. So if you see her, talk to her. She has something called Vegan House. It's no, it's not Vegan House. It's Wisdom House, and it's WAUS. And she has rooms for people to go to, and they're all vegan, and they're vegan meals, and they watch videos together, and they learn and grow together. So it is for retired people or young people who want to travel, and they're all vegan, and they're vegan meals.
What was her name again?
Allison Hamji, Ham, is it J-E?
Yeah,
Oh,
HAMJE.
yes.
Ken's on the call.
Yes. Oh, and Ken is
There's
on the
Ken.
call. Yeah, there he is. So Ken is there.
Hi, BJ.
Hi.
We're just
Yeah,
saying-
we're in Lima, Peru, and it's Wisdom House, HAUS.
So all I need to do is move to Peru.
Exactly.
Well, that's more fun than you can imagine.
I saw a podcast from you folks, and it did look awesome, or that you were part of a podcast. It did look
Right.
awesome.
Right, thank you.
So there's actually quite a few questions coming in from the Unchained News feed. So BJ, I don't know if you have a question, and then I'll ask the ones that are coming in from that feed.
No, I don't. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Okay, sure. Okay, so let's see. The first question is, I consider myself a whole food vegan. I rarely eat processed food, and when I do, I feel sick. How important is it to convince people to eat processed vegan meats and then get them to go vegan?
Well, it's a good question.
It's a question.
Yes. You mean to, yeah.
Maybe just like take the meat off, like just cut the meat out, replace it with plant-based meat, and then get them to like go on a more whole food plant-based journey.
I mean, I'm myself, I'm an ethical vegan. So, I mean, I think as long as you don't use an animal product, that's a very good first step. Of course, we should eat healthy, but I'm totally against animal cruelty in all sorts. I mean, all forms, dairy, meat, eggs, everything. So, I mean, cutting out the animal products is number one. And if you use processed meat or vegan, whatever, that is not healthy, I think that's an excellent first step. Yeah, that's my answer. Yeah, personally. But I mean, it's, yeah.
Then I also think that every step towards a more compassionate choice, leaving out a meat, leaving out every animal product is right, because I think it's very individual how people take the step into veganism, and whatever small step we take is one more step.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very individual choice. For us, it's we are against animal cruelty. But if someone else wants to put health number one and choose to go vegan because of that, I'm a happy person. So,
And often when you go vegan, it's like a step, I think. You start maybe changing, I mean, at least for me, and then you go more and more into health and get, so I mean, it's like a journey. And I mean, everyone starts from different angles. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and I think that even like switching to a plant-based meat is already like a healthier option,
Definitely.
right? And we've got that the statistics behind us of like, you're not getting any cholesterol, so I have. I'm on the same boat as you in that, I don't care what people eat, so long as they're not eating any animal products. I don't care what their diet is, right?
Exactly.
And like you said, you eventually learn about the health aspects of it. But for me personally, when I talk to people about veganism, I actually don't say eliminate meat. I say eliminate dairy first, because it's just the worst industry, because it's the meat and it's dairy and meat, it's the meat, right? So,
I do the same, and especially because it's the worst industry from all angles, but it's also a blind spot for most people. At least, I mean, I meet so many people who believes that the dairy industry is because in Sweden we have been brought up with these beautiful pictures of cows being happy, and people still believe in that. And we are, we come from, it's like a old farmer society, Sweden. So it's very almost holy. The milk is holy in Sweden. So I always push on the dairy, because that's really the most crazy, mad, insane business I can imagine,
Yeah. We have a question from Watch Dominion, and then I'll go back to the questions still in on Facebook. Watch Dominion, you have a question.
Pardon, Dominion, or what did you say? So.
Oh, I think Rebecca has her hand raised before me. Rebecca, you're ahead. Go ahead. Oh, okay. Okay, I was looking at your website, The Art of Compassion, and you have a different language in there. Are you, a couple of questions are you only catering to the language on the site, or how is that a platform? Like, do you help people tell their stories, or can anybody share their stories, or how does the platform work?
We are transitioning the platforms from Swedish to English. We did most of the podcast interviews in Swedish, but we are going to continue in English to be able to reach out globally. So the translation thing isn't ready yet, as you saw, but that is an ongoing project. So yeah. Exactly. And the other question about if we highlight anyone, the answer is yes, we love to highlight, inspiring vegans from all around the world, inspiring stories, inspiring initiatives. That's what we want, and we want to share. We want everyone to be vegan. So we love that, and we love to connect with others from all around the world. We love to use our skills to help others to reach out. So we see ourselves as bridge builders, and we want to be to your service, to the vegan service, as a platform.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're seeing a few people in the comments section agreeing with dairy being liquid meat, and phrasing it that way really gets people to think. So that's great. So I'll take another question coming from Facebook. We want to see a ban on fur worldwide. How can you get Northern Europeans and Russian people to not wear fur?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I know there are exclusive brands now that are ditching fur totally, and more are coming. And the same with big shops and so on. So there are definitely a discussion about it, I can see. But there is also, like with veganism, small steps, in general. And I think it differs from country to country. Now I'm talking about Sweden. But it's a problem in all cold countries. So, but I think more and more people are aware, and that's definitely my and I feel people are much more aware when it comes to fur than when it comes to food. So that's also very sad, I feel. Because food, we talk about billions, so many billions of animals that are slaughtered every year, and I feel it's horrible that it's as horrible, of course. Any animal that we kill and abuse is, as horrible, but it's the scale of it that also is part of it.
I'm based in Canada, and we've had a lot of victories over the past year when it comes to fur, by sustained pressure going to not necessarily where well, in some cases straight to like the actual companies, but then going to stores that are carrying brands, and doing regular sustained protests, in front of these stores, and having them, ban fur. Like there's a brand like Winners here, right? Who stopped selling fur, right? So there's been a lot of victories here, and the same here, like in Canada, like wearing fur, it's like it's something you do as a Canadian, which it's not, but people think that, especially like people who are new to Canada, they just that's the impression they get, right? So I think like once you have like that one victory, it really, from what we saw, like the other, like all the other fashion brands, like they follow suit because they don't want to be the ones that look bad, like we're the only ones selling fur. So it's quite a lot of victories, and all thanks to the activists that are that put that sustained pressure on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question we have is, how are the people in Sweden supporting Greta and the tremendous work that she's done?
Wow, she's very, among many people, she's so popular, and I think many people are very proud of her. Of course, there are others as well. But I feel in general, people are very much supporting her. That I would say, and also she's both an activist for the climate. She's an activist for animals, and she's also activist for people with autism. So it's so beautiful how she actually, we are really proud of her. we really feel that she's a very powerful person. And I had a discussion the other day with a friend that we said, just because she is so young, she and so intelligent and so crystal clear, I don't think we had listened as much on an adult. She really has superpowers. So.
And we could see those school strikes on Friday in the different cities, as we've seen all over the world. And that is great because you see all those young people that follow her, and it's so inspiring.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Watch, I know you wrote a question in the chat. I don't know if you wanted to unmute and just do a quick follow-up.
That's a great point, and thank you for mentioning Greta. She's a great role model, quite indomitable spirit, and Fridays for Future is really a great, especially a great trending hashtag, especially on Fridays. And I just wish she would talk more about veganism. I'm not sure why she doesn't talk more about veganism more, because this is something which it's in our circle of influence. People, there's millions and millions of people, if not billions of people, follow her now. And if she mentions veganism and other things, then it may have a much more huge impact. So I'm just kind of wondering why she doesn't talk about veganism much.
She has. I agree with you. I know she has said it, but not so much. For instance, she has been very clear that there are two things you can do to save the climate, and that is being a vegan and stop flying. But it seems like many people didn't hear that. They just heard stop flying. So I think she can be even more outspoken, and also when she speaks to broader audiences. And so, talk about veganism I agree with you. I've thought about that too. But I know she has, and she has been very clear on that.
And I'm sure she's got a lot of, people who are like financially, helping her as well, that, might have a conflict of interest in that, so she's probably feeling like, we see that with Al Gore as well, like a lot of pressure, although they themselves are vegan, they don't want to upset the people who are supporting them. But I know that she did a video with, I believe it was Mercy for Animals, about veganism. So
exactly, I've seen that too. Yeah. So I mean, she's clear on that, but she could be even more clear.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, we have a few more questions. We will end in a couple minutes, but it looks like there's one more question. Can you please explain what companies you were talking about in which you would like for them to include animal rights?
Oh.
And then can you quickly explain your mission again? Someone just missed it. So if you could maybe wrap when you finish, just again, briefly talk about your organization.
Yeah. Okay, just very, very quickly, we are working with advocacy to work towards a vegan world and towards more compassion. And our mission very shortly is through being ethicists and writing journalism and our podcast and an upcoming YouTube channel, share inspiring stories from all around the world, inspiring others to go vegan. And we are promoting animal justice and animal rights. And we want to cooperate, that's core for us, cooperate with others. Big, small, individuals, organizations, we want to work together because we believe we need to create like a critical mass. And we have a momentum now, the time is now, we feel that really. And when it comes to companies, we want to work, of course, I mean, we want to include, we want to work together with others, of course, towards making corporate social responsibility, the CSR, mainstreaming even animal rights, because we feel today animal rights are in the radical corner. And as long as it's in the radical corner, we will never find sustainable solutions. We need to put animal rights, we need to mainstream it, and it needs to come on the CSR agenda. And this requires a whole new way of thinking of animal ethics, and that's needed. And we will not, we mustn't be afraid. We just need to push the agenda, and we need to cooperate with the right people, and the time is now. I don't hear you, Kelly.
Sorry about that. I was on the Facebook page and clicking. I'm like, why can't I unclick? I was just watching us there. Okay, let me see if there's any.
Well, it is, unfortunately, it is time to close.
Yeah, I don't think there's any questions, any quick ones. Yes. So, yeah, so I don't know if you just want to wrap up, let people know how they can find you, if they have any questions or want to get involved.
We love you to contact us, and I mean we really appreciate if you do. You can reach us theartofcompassion.org theartofcompassion.org, and we love to come into, I mean we love to contribute with our skills towards a better world and cooperate with anyone that's up for it. Thank you very much.